Hello and welcome again to our channel and to another video into design. Today we're going to look at the interior of the car and specifically what happens after the design work. So in the previous video we've shared all the different work that preceded this stage. So all the design work, all the different ideas, and that's finalized in that sketch. If you haven't seen those videos, please do have a look. Today we're going to look at how a sketch, a handmade sketch, actually becomes a real car. So that starts with another sketch basically, and that's what you see here. So this is based on a photo in the workshop of the actual original car. Here you can see the floor of the car. This is the original wood of the rear window. And that's the actual wood inside of the car, and the rest is actually just cardboard covering the bottom of the car and the sides of the car. Of course, it's completely taken apart already, and we sketched over that with the volumes, the ideas, the surfaces that we've designed in that previous stage. And what you see here is, of course, that side view based on that image, on that photo, but also a top view and a few cross sections, cut throughs, basically. And what's interesting here is not necessarily the look of it, because it's not the prettiest sketch we've produced, but it's one of the most important ones because they identify the different parts and the way these different elements come together. And that's crucial information for every single stage that comes after this. So sure, it's the CAD work, the computer aided design work, but it's also talking to the leather specialists, it's talking to the workshop, talking to the car mechanics, everybody that touches this car, the wood specialists, they all need to understand what we're trying to achieve so they can give us feedback and input on how the best way would be to put this together, if we're going to glue or screw or fix this in any other way, and that's this stage. So yeah, personally I like the entire design process of a car, so from the very early ideation stages to the final CAD modeling. So this is also a very enjoyable stage because now suddenly all these ideas become reality. We have to see how we can produce it. We're talking to carbon fiber specialists, we're talking to so many people in this process to make sure that once all these different parts come together, they fit, because that's rather important. So let's have a look at what we have on this major screen here, which is the lookbook. So in this series of Into Design we refer to the lookbook a lot in the last few videos. It's the book that we create for each single coach-built car, where we write a little bit about what has happened at that stage and what we see, and it's a beautiful document to actually go through. So let's now move actually into the CAD design program.
Yeah, we can.
So Tim can...
So we now understand what the shape does into the inside of the car.
Yeah.
And then we're going to look how it does in 3 dimensions.
Don't look at the colors. They are done for this specific video just to show you the different sections, the different elements that all the parts consist of. And this is a nice view, just to have the overview there on the left screen. The final design, the actual car. Tim is now putting the CAD model into sort of the right perspective, so you can see more or less this is it. Of course, some panels are missing, that one and that one, but here you see, for instance, all the mounting points that we've hidden from view. We wanted to make this car entirely clean and pure in its line and in its gestures. No screws, no torques, no anything. So it should be just this lovely sculpture that the car is already from the exterior, but also from the interior. You don't see any screws on the dashboards, let's say, right? Or on the door panels. It's all blindly put together. So on the right-hand side, that's that sketch, and it compares nicely, like these 3 stages: the last stage of design, the final stage of CAD, and the actual final car. So we've got the armrest, we've got the upper elements. Like I said, on top of that is actually the tweed element, which is a straight piece, and then on the lower corner inside here would be another straight element that we don't have in this specific cat model. And of course on top of that here is also another piece, and right in front of that would the rear seat be, the rear bench.
Yeah.
So, but this is just a cat model of the different parts that were designed and put into cat, and well, maybe Tim can talk a little bit more about what we're actually seeing and what the challenges were at this stage.
Well, I think it's important to mention what you already said as we talk with all the parties that also execute.
Yeah, all the stakeholders.
All the stakeholders. For example, the upholstery guys. Because if we want a hidden stitch, this stitch should be folded in somewhere, and that's something we have to think about making the cat model. So there should be a groove.
Yeah. So just to refer to that, so the Corniche has no visible stitch lines.
Yeah.
It has, of course, elements of leather coming together, whereas the dashboard, the seats, door panels, none of them have visible stitch lines. So that's a piece of brand DNA we took forward into the design. So here, the different leather elements, you do see a line, but you don't see stitches. The same goes for that element there. And that's the specific element you see over there.
Yeah.
on the cat model. And it's a groove inside of the cat model that is just big enough to house the two leather pieces joining together with a stitch.
Yes.
But we hide it inside of the panels. So we only have a very clean two layers of leather.
Yeah, which
basically
is
coming together.
smooth.
Yeah.
Which you can see in the
final image.
final image as well.
Yeah.
If you look closely, you can see the hidden stitch lines.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's a good thing to mention, that we, throughout the whole process, we discussed with all parties and all stakeholders to end up with the
desired results.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Another nice feature that stands out quite obviously here is that we here actually have a short cut in. Exactly, Tim moves in a bit. See, what we do is, instead of having that volume all the way towards the bottom of the car, straight, it's not visually that interesting. We actually tuck it in a bit, just like let's say a tailor-made suit around the body of the human being or around the body of the car. And in this way, if you look at the final result on the images there, all these different elements look a little bit less heavy. The Corniche is a big car, we've got big surfaces, and we want to cut down on visual weight, and that just elevates the design ever so slightly.
yeah. So you can see the shadow over here.
Yeah,
So it creates a shadow, and that way
the whole element up there basically looks less heavy. It
Yeah.
looks less sort of solid, like a block of concrete, and it's a sculpture.
almost floating, right?
Yeah,
Almost.
yeah. And that's again very typical of the Corniche DNA inside as well. We have that dashboard, for instance, that has this soft panel on top of it, and the wood is almost visually floating inside. Back again to the cat model. We briefly touched on what that is, but maybe we can dive into that a little bit more to explain what people are seeing.
Like these parts.
Yeah, yeah.
So these parts are the parts. These are not like the A surfaces, we call them. These are the parts that are produced to make molds and to make, eventually the final product from these molds.
And maybe to those watching that are not car designers, what are A surfaces?
Like the A surface is the final surface you see. But
Exactly.
of course, if you have the leather is the A surface, but the leather has a thickness, and beneath the leather there's a padding,
Yeah.
and beneath there there's glue, and beneath there there's like the carbon fiber pieces,
Yeah.
and well, those are the parts we are producing in the cat model,
Yeah.
and from those for those we need molds,
Yeah.
and that's done from these blocks.
So just to emphasize, what you're seeing here is in a way a reversed engineered element starting from the surface of the leather. Right? So the surface of the leather is of course the surface that has to exactly match with the other surface of leather, or with a door panel, or with a piece of wood. But we have to calculate the thickness of that leather, the thickness of the glue in between the padding and the leather, then the thickness of the padding with the glue and the final part, etc. etc. So there's a layer of things, and that's not 5 centimeters, but it's a matter of millimeters depending on where we are in the car and the type of material, leather or tweed or this padding or that padding. But we have to, in the end, make sure that the different surfaces that come together, like a piece of wood is solid, so the A surface of the piece of wood is just where the piece of wood ends, or the lacquer of the piece of wood ends. But that has to match exactly with that element underneath, which is, for instance, a leather. But that actually is slightly deeper because of that different sandwich of glues and paddings building up that surface. So if there's a piece of wood standing on a piece of leather, then actually this is the actual carbon fiber part, and then this is all the stuff in between, and the total needs to fit, and that's the challenge here. So I hope that comes across, that that reverse engineering, that also takes quite a bit of talking and energy and knowledge from all the different parties coming together. And what you're seeing here indeed is not the final piece, but it's the piece that will help to create the molds, to create the piece that is the carbon fiber unit.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe we can take some of them apart so they can see the joints. That's also interesting. So it's not just making sure all the different, let's say, leathers or tweeds fit, but also the different elements need to fit together to be mounted on the car in such a way that you can see they are screwed in or glued in, or etc. One of the challenges for this project, not specific this project in all honesty was, but what we wanted for this car was that the easiest way is just to glue everything together, let's say. But then in 10 years from now, or 3 years from now, or 50 years from now, when any maintenance or restoration has to be done on the car, you have to pull it apart and you're going to destroy it. So we wanted every single piece to be able to be taken out in one piece, let's say, without destroying it. So all these elements inside of that car, from the B-pillar backwards, can be taken apart by a car mechanic. Of course, you have to know how this specific car has been engineered and designed, but everything can be taken apart. And for instance, behind the surfaces there in the boot is the suspension system of the car, but also the battery. And what else do we have there? Well, a host of electricity, electric components, and all sorts of engineering elements for the rear bench seat as well. So the electric engine,
fuel tank as well.
The fuel tank sits underneath the surface. So quite a few different things to get to, and where you have to be able to get to in maybe half a year, or maybe 5 or 10 or 50 years from now. But we wanted to make sure that that was always possible at all times.
Yeah.
So I think a nice overview of that computer-aided design process, and specifically now on the interior and the B-pillar backward element of the car. And then again, specifically zoomed in on these side elements. So we haven't covered the wood yet, and we won't go into that much detail. But for now, I think this is a nice overview of the attention to detail and what goes into designing, engineering, building a bespoke one-off coach-built car by Niels van Roij Design.
Yeah.
So thank you again for tuning in, and we're looking very much forward to speaking with you again on the next Into Design video. Have a good one.